Yeah, like the team from the 100-year playbook, we're also immediately attracted to Nome because it was the biggest and the strangest, but also the most complex project of all of Europe. And it grabbed our attention from the start. So we're going to present our project, the Mineral Network. But first, introduction of our team. So it's not just me, Repco, and Robert, but also Carlijn and Giacomo. So like a network of experiences, a network of individuals, and we see ourselves as a collective from 3 different offices, different internationalities, and we see our 3 offices coming together from urbanism, landscape architecture, and industrial ecology, and together we form this collective of regenerative design, and we try to cooperate all our different knowledge into this very complex and special assignments. And Robert's going to take you further into our approach.
Yes. So for us, it was super important to first kind of set the scene and start with like basic paradigms that we want to work under and that we want to approach the project. So one of them was obviously, as we saw already, that this mine goes beyond, let's say, the architectural scale, but it actually starts from at the atomic scale, you know. It's about the minerals, it's about the rare earth materials, but they have a global implication that goes over the scale of the region, of one of the 4 locations, and all the networks that are attached to it. Another thing that was important for us is it's not about the extraction only. It's not about this like very linear process of extraction, processing, and then the logistics that actually bring the value out of the country, but it's everything that is attached to it, and that has to do with an energetical metabolism that plays a role here, that has to do with ripple effects for the local communities. There will be probably a lot of migration happening for workforce. It will have a major impact of the infrastructure and so on and so forth. So for us, it was super important to kind of highlight all this, the network of the complexity that it entails. And then we thought also that, you know, these mines are actually, they are providing the living standard that we're living in. So we should celebrate them a little bit more. Usually they happen some sort of obscure behind walls in a very untransparent environment. And what we thought is like, why don't we make the mine actually something that we celebrate? And why don't we celebrate some sort of a new aesthetic, like a grateful aesthetic that powers our living standards again. And obviously how to make it not only a transparent mine, but also to count for accountability, that people know what's going on, they can visit, they can actually check out what's going on there every day and experience it. And the last but not least, what is super important for us is also that the value stays in the region, right? You extract a massive piece of value that you generate, and usually it just leaves completely. So for us, it was super important to say that the value that is extracted here has to actually benefit the local ecosystem, has to benefit the local population, and has to a big part also go into, for example, cultural amenities. So these are the materials that we're talking about, and we try to really highlight, let's say, from an atomic scale, all the metabolisms that they would go through and under. And that actually led us to the idea that it's not about, we have to leave the architectural here to scale here to grasp this, and actually expand it into a regional strategy, because it will have implications on a regional scale, on a 1 to 50,000 scale. And this led us to our main drawing actually, and here we try to highlight actually by material which pathway or which metabolism will manifest, and how will this metabolism manifest in the region. For example, we thought also that we need to spread the value that this mine creates. So for example, Lunde will become, will work with the coarse rock that will be produced, could be something like a material hub, while Ulefoss becomes something like a logistical hub that also has offshoot industries like educational facilities and so on and so forth. It's a long story, the posters are here, and we're gonna drink beer with you if you have more questions. Yes, and then actually, yeah, for us it was super important that we basically we have an idea of growth, but we also have to think about how does this thing die again, right? Like how do we degrowth it again? For us it was super important to make something that could grow and yeah, that is kind of flexible in its morphology. And then also that is more compact than this classical, very very kind of spatially massive mineral park. So we thought, landfills usually they take the geography, then they dike it off with a land barrier, and then they just fill in some sort of a valley. We thought, why cannot the mineral park itself be kind of the valley? Contain the actually harmful and toxic materials inside, and we use the material that we can clean and reuse for terraforming and regeneration of the surrounding ecosphere. And then the building itself, it's basically going as a circular building through every step within the mining metabolism, from obviously extraction to processing, to the wastewater treatment. But what is very important is also it has a R&D facility, and it has an experience center. So it's really important that this can all be seen, it can be celebrated by the local population, and it can be experienced every day. And also what you see down here is a little bit of this is a thorium reactor, which for us is a little bit of a metaphor for also somebody needs to think about where all this energy comes that powers this whole story here, right? So, and that's also a crucial part of our metabolism. But Remco will now take you to, let's say, the ecological impact that this will have, which will be large.
So we're from a Dutch background, so we're working from the Netherlands. So as you probably will know, the Netherlands are very low. So we need to think about long-term working together, building dikes. So 100 years that's normal, and sometimes it's even thought of like in 1,000 years. So can we deal with a 1,000-year flood and still survive in this low-lying country? Like I said, we know how to build dikes. So basically, we thought, can we do this as a Dutch team? Just build dikes, and that's basically what we did. So, our building is a large dike. So the problem is, like what Christy also said, these tailings, this waste material, we need to store this. But can we just make a mine and store all this waste material within it, and then clean and purify it? So over time, we will grow our mine, and the material that we take out can expand further. So we can start maybe with one mining company and then grow further. And then ultimately, this is full, and material is taken out, and like Robert already said, it's transported to other regions and taken out, purified, used materials. But we also want to think about 100 years seems far away, but also very close by, and we have to think about after 100 years what will happen then. And we think the mine can degrow again, and things can change, and it will leave traces within our landscapes. We really need to think about how we deal with all this waste. But we want to, instead of making land fills, we want to make land forms. So we're going to have an impact on the landscape, we know this, but can we make a positive impact and make new landscape and new nature areas? And what we want to do is we really want to show this process of mining, so not just at the mine itself, but also through the region. So can we make new interventions that not only contribute to how humans interact with this, but also how animals interact with this. So we designed this monolith for the common swith, for example, that can be placed like in Bund. And like we said, we are inspired by animals, making dikes like beavers can do. Carlijn, our industrial ecologist, is experienced a lot with phytoremediation. So how can we use plants and trees to actually purify the water that comes out of this and purify the material that comes from this, and then we can use this as building material instead of it being waste. So when material is purified, we can actually start making new land, land building, what the Dutch are also known for, making new islands and making this new archipelago at Ulefos and making like a new waterfront. So we made zoom-ins, one master plan for Ulefos and a master plan for Lud, and just focus a little bit on Ulefos. It's where we have this archipelago that you saw in the previous picture. There's a more natural and cultural front to Ulefos, which is now basically closed off by this road coming through it, and want to have new housing because there's new workers coming in and they want to stay here as well, and a whole new logistics center over there using the harbor that is already there, using the logistics that are there, and want to expand further on this. I think Robert is now going to close off. Thanks.
So as a closing idea, we thought that what is super important, obviously, what we hope this project is communicating is that people come before extraction, plants and beavers also come before extraction, and most importantly, regeneration comes before extraction, because if you do it after the extraction has happened, then it's usually too late. So we believe that if you anticipate regeneration before you start extracting, you can actually have a successful and surviving ecosystem and population of the area. Thank you so much.